What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the long-awaited realistic rebuild of the Cincinnati Bengals. Who day, baby? You know, it's been a while since I've done a realistic rebuild here on this channel or on my second channel, TFGPlays. Just getting a little redundant with how little updates Madden was getting. Now franchise mode looking a little bit different, and as of today looking a lot different, getting that scouting overhaul out. So in this series, we're going to be doing a realistic rebuild of the Bengals. We're going to be checking out that scouting overhaul, and we're going to be getting back to those realistic rebuilds of old that I know many of you have missed, and I'm really excited to get into it. I do have some housekeeping before we get started here. First off, this episode very well may be the very last rebuild episode posted here on That Franchise Guy, because this series is going to be moving over to my second channel, that is TFGPlays. I encourage you guys to head over there and subscribe. This will send you that way as well in the end screen and everything. So episode 2 should be up and ready to go when this episode is done. So the rest of this series will continue with the same exact format over there on TFGPlays. Really looking to keep the real football talk here on this channel and the Madden over on TFGPlays for the future. It's a big decision I'm making for this channel, and this very well may be the last Madden video that ever gets posted on this channel. So please do hit that like button for that reason, but definitely go subscribe to TFGPlays. That link will be in the description below. I also wanted to take a moment to let you know that my online league, TFGO Lite, is recruiting and has open spots. With the scouting overhaul out, we are kicking off the league as soon as possible, but we do have about 8 spots to fill. So if you are interested, it's a realistic online franchise, 32-man league, Xbox, next generation only, and that application is down in the description below. The main league also looking. If you want that 45-page rule book, super deep experience as well. Both are great options. I wanted to take a second to let you guys know about those. But let's go ahead and get into this Bengals rebuild and talk about the rules of the rebuild here. I do like to set some rules just so we're challenged and can keep this thing moving in a structured way. So we're going to be playing on all Madden with some sliders that I'm going to show here very shortly. As this is a realistic rebuild, we will be making realistic trades only, just doing stuff that I think could or would happen in real life. And then as far as the gameplay rules are concerned, it'll be 6 games per season that I'll be playing. It'll be play the moments style, and I'll be playing 5 play the moments inside those 6 games. Also, I will be allowed to play any breakout scenarios up to 15 plays as the season goes on, and then all playoff games will be 5 play the moments inside every game. Also, inside any game that we are doing that play the moments style, I'm allowed to play the final 2 minutes of every game. So those are the house rules, if you will. And now I'm just gonna kind of scroll through the sliders here. I'm not going to explain them. I'm just here to show you what they are. A lot of people want to know what sliders I am. I always tell people I'm a rosters guy, not a sliders guy. But that's what we're going to be sticking with, at least for our first season. Could be adjusting them as we go, however. And last note is we will be using my custom roster. What is it? 5 years running now, the #1 roster out. For the realistic franchise experience. I have a video about that on TFGPlays if you are unfamiliar with what it is and why we use it and why I make it. And now let's get immersed into our Cincinnati Bengals as Chris Collinsworth has purchased the Cincinnati Bengals. The money he has earned through his investment with Pro Football Focused, Cincinnati-based. He has now applied towards NFL ownership, a ownership group that has been criticized of being a little bit cheap. Chris Collinsworth hoping to use that analytics approach and certainly a lot of PFF data to turn this Bengals team around. Zach Taylor is still going to be our head coach. You also should know that I have set the force wins through the first 5 weeks of the season, so we're not going to play in the first 5 weeks. We will be basically simming up to week 6 and playing from there, getting the real standings in place. But we do have some orders of business here to attend to before we start simming some games, starting with our scouts, who I have gone ahead and assigned and hired based on our biggest needs. You will see offensive line is going to be a major focus in our first season with this Bengals team. I think if we can get an offensive line in place here, this offense with Burrow and these receivers and Joe Mixon, it could be one of the best in the league. So that's going to be a big focus. We have also got a cornerback and a tight end focus for our other two. We do, however, need to assign them based on region here. I am going to be just using, auto-generated draft classes. I think it's the best way to really immerse ourselves into the new scouting overhaul, not having any idea what they are rated. Maybe I'll name like the top corner and the top edge guy, Rousseau and Derek Stingley. But honestly, it's a good year to maybe not have those real players, because this draft class, I feel like, doesn't have the buzz, especially with the quarterbacks and some of the other players that we're used to. So it could be a good idea to just stick with those fictional classes for this rebuild here. I'm going to focus on national for offensive line and central, get that Midwest hog molly offensive line scouting in there. And then we will send him into the Southeast. We've got Northeast for tight ends, and then our cornerbacks, we will check out the West Coast. I believe we can change these as we go, and we'll just take a look at that again as we go. I also just want to do a preview of the roster here. Can I talk a little bit about some of the depth chart changes I'm going to look to make as before we start the season, and some of our positions of focus as far as where we're going to be looking to add. Obviously, Mixon and Burrow, they're in good shape. We got some good backup running backs in there that we are looking at, between Chris Evans, who is going to play a little bit of a role as a third down back. Puka Williams, I'd like to keep on the team, as we are going to run that Shanahan wide zone offense. He's got some speed there for this Zach Taylor scheme. And then the receivers, it's really about these three, right? We got our slot guy and Tyler Boyd, our two perimeter players. Jamar Chase can do a little bit of everything. Super excited to get Jamar Chase in here. And he's got hidden dev here. We've got big expectations for what he's going to bring to the table in this rebuild. Not going to be a big position of focus. CJ Uzomah is interesting, but 28 years old. We're probably going to need to get better at tight end at some point here. And then on the offensive line, Jonah Williams is going to be a big focus. Only 23 years old here in his third season, but a top 12 pick, someone we're going to focus on and definitely want to get his potential up there. And then I also want to actually move Deontay Smith over to right tackle. I liked what I saw from him at tackle in the Senior Bowl, and is a player that I think has some potential. And something I'm also going to be doing in this rebuild is, if I feel someone has earned a development trait change, I'll make it, especially on the offensive line where they don't really have those scenarios. So we'll see how he develops, if he ends up getting any playing time there, because just with that normal dev, he's never really going to get better. But if he is playing and we can maybe set goals for ourselves, like running accomplishments or not giving up sacks, that kind of stuff, do keep an eye on that in this rebuild as we go. And then, the interior guys, it's mostly veterans, though we do have Jackson Carman, who I personally have star dev on my dev trait change suggestions sheet that goes along with my roster, kind of the development trait changes I suggest you guys make. That's another thing that's in the description below, by the way. But yeah, Carman's going to be a focus, Jonah Williams and Deontay Smith. Other than that, probably going to be looking at the draft for offensive line or free agency or trades. As far as the defense goes, going to kind of, get different looks at these different players. I don't have pre-existing injuries on. It's just part of the deal here. Based on when my roster was created. So Joseph Asai we are going to get to see what he's going to look like in this world as a rookie. And then defensive tackle, we got a lot of depth. No one that's like super high upside in here, but a lot of different pieces and a pretty big strength for this Bengals team. Really like what we have with our young linebackers, all guys 25 years or younger with athleticism and a complementary group here. All these guys are going to grow together. I believe Logan Wilson has, star dev. So linebacker, these guys are all going to kind of grow together, at least for now. And then corner, we've got veterans. We're not hurting at this position, but definitely a spot down the road we're going to want some better players. We, of course, have Jesse Bates. Giving him a big contract extension is going to be a focal point, and Von Bell, who's a very good, strong safety. We have our rookie kicker, Evan McPherson, and Kevin Huber, our punter. So that's the roster preview. I'm going to show our focus players and how we're divvying up our reps for our practice, which is pretty redundant with what I just said. But as I mentioned, that defensive line, we're going to kind of figure out what we have, mix up the reps there, and then everyone else is going to be getting the full-time reps, as that's kind of what we have with defense, is those veterans that we have there. And then offensively, focusing on Burrow, no quarterback in development here. Wide receivers, we can hit all three by hitting the starters there, so we're good. I am going to split up the tight end reps just because Uzomah is 28 years old. And then on the offensive line, we're going to make sure we hit Jonah Williams as the starter there. We're going to split our center reps because Trey Hill is an interesting 6th-round pick, and Hopkins probably not getting much better. And then I'm also going to be actually sliding Carmen up on the depth chart to be our starting right guard. And Deontay Smith, now a backup right tackle, is going to be getting the focus there as the backup instead of Riley Reif. So we're going full pads here for the first couple weeks. Got to kind of mix those up so the guys don't get too fatigued and too injured as the season goes on. And then pretty straightforward. We got our quarterback, our top receiver, and our left tackle are going to be the focus players. And let's go ahead and get these guys to work. So obviously a lot of prep involved as we prepare for the rebuild here. I'm going to go ahead and simulate to our cut week. And after making 15 cuts here, it honestly wasn't a lot of difficult decisions worth noting. Just making the last couple of cuts here, and we'll be on our way. The one slightly difficult cut is going to be Renell Wren to the practice squad, but already 25 years old, is a good athlete. Maybe he'll get an opportunity someday, but we are going to move him on down. And once we get to week 5, I'll maybe take a look at any free agent pickups we want to make. So let's go ahead and get to week 1. Again, we already know what's going to happen in these games. Aren't going to get the realistic stats, but that's okay. But there is still some orders of business to attend to here, as we are going to go with an auto-generated class here. And I think I will, without looking at any of these players' development traits, just change a couple of the top players to be guys like Thibodeau, Stingley, you name it. So I'm going to do that real quick. And it actually worked out really well. Barely had to change these guys' aesthetics. Just slid them around a little bit. But there actually were like 6 first-round quarterbacks, I think. 5. So I was able to kind of pick the correct archetypes for the top 5 guys, at least at this point in time. So going to get some of the real prospects in there, which will be fun. And I have no idea what these guys' ratings or development traits are going to be, which will be fun. So as far as the scouting goes, there is going to be a little bit of a learning process here. Let's go region. Let's check this out. Region breakdown. And we want to try and find our offensive lineman here. So I see it shows you the strengths and weaknesses of the region. So, okay, let me just assess this, and then I'll come back with a plan. And then now that we have our class, we want to assign based on region. So I went ahead and looked at some of the top prospects by region, and we're going to want to assign our scouts here likewise. So we want the central to be a guard focus. A lot of top guards are coming out of the central part of the country, Oklahoma and Texas. The northeast portion had some tackles. The guard and center I want just to be scouted nationally. West seems to have the strong defensive backs. And then we just put our last tight end scout to the southeast, which is going to be another focus for us. So excited to see what our scouts can do, and let's carry forward. I am going to pick up the intensity in practice this week. I had set it down to half pads for the second portion of the preseason there. So let's get some more XP this week. And we're going to keep that intensity up as we sim ahead to week 6. We know that we are going to be 3-2, which is what the team is in real life. And we'll stop for any scouting needs we have along the way. And we do have a regional focus to make a decision on here. And I think I want to start with the guards in the central region here. And I guess we do this for every region. So we said we want corners out west. National, I want... Okay, we don't get to pick that. Northeast, we wanted to do offensive tackle, so we're really going to hit in on those guys. It says left tackle's a bigger strength out here. And then southeast, sure, we'll go tight end. So I guess you don't do a focus for your national. Okay, I think that's all we got to do for scouting. And we have our first mock draft. Now, I've heard these are a little buggy, but let's check it out. It's got Rattler going to the Falcons, first overall, Thibodeau to the Lions, Hamilton to the Jets, Evan Neal for the Bills. Early on, having a low draft projection there. Carson Strong to the Cowboys. I don't think that one's going to happen. Sam Howell to the Ravens. Also don't see that happening, but we'll keep an eye on this as it goes just to kind of see who's rising and falling based on the first mock draft. I think that's the most useful part of all this. Can we see any information yet? Looks like Evan Neal is 20% scouted, A lead block. So we just kind of collect information as we go, and we can see what we get as we go here. Yeah, we'll revisit scouting, I think, in a few weeks. We'll let our scouts go to work and come back and see what they find. So on to week 4, getting close to some action. Nothing to do this week. We got the Jags game that we know we're going to win. So let's sim again. It is prompting me for relocation. Now, I don't want to do that, but I do want to upgrade our stadium. Collinsworth taking over. We are going to rebuild this bad boy. Much needed. So we're going to be building a new, pretty, fancy, modern stadium out in Cincinnati. Growing city, growing fan base. I think they're going to like that. So we're simming this week, taking the loss against the Packers, and then it will be time to play here. Coming up here real soon. And here we are, arrived at modern day. Some stuff to take a look at here. Let's just see how our stats are. As far as the simulation stuff, pretty accurate for Joe Burrow. I don't know exactly what his numbers are in real life. Probably a few more picks than that, but a pretty good start for him. Mixing off to a good start. A lot of Tyler Boyd, CJ Uzama. Jamar Chase, not so much looking like that rookie of the year that he is in real life quite yet, but plenty of time to turn that around. We've got 3.5 sacks for DJ Reader. Got 2 picks for Von Bell. Okay, we will build off of that. Let's spend our staff points, the other big addition for Madden 22. We want to make sure we have the X Factors activated. Yes, we do. And then we've got pretty blank slate here for the blocking status. So I want to go the finesse route because we are more of that wide zone style here. So we want to get the offensive line as good as possible, and I think we actually want to come down here and get this. So offensive line going to be a focus all around, getting that XP boost there for Marshawn Wallace, our official offensive coordinator, and Zach Taylor. We do have weekly strategy to do for the first time here. Another big new feature for Madden. Taking on Detroit this week. I want to focus on defending inside run. We know that's a big part of their attack. And then let's focus on throw it medium is kind of our strength and a little bit their weakness is. Take a look at our player health. We're down to 98%, so let's decrease the intensity here on both sides of the ball a little bit. It's just Detroit this week. Let's take it easy. We should be able to take care of business. Climb to 4-2, I would hope. And let's even make it a goal to blow out Detroit by 17 points. I don't know if I'm going to play this week. We might want to save that playage Although it is a big game and an opportunity to climb to 4-2. So I think maybe I will. I think I will play this week. Use up that first play the moments. We also haven't done our upgrades yet, so let's get into that. Sam Hubbard, who earned a contract extension before the season. We're going to work on his finesse moves. Maybe get a little athletic boost would be nice. Yeah, we'll take acceleration. Jonah, get us a little power here, please. Nice. Logan Wilson, who's already gotten 4 overall points in our studs and duds boost so far, if you want to look at it that way. He's having a great year in real life. P. Ryan will auto. Pratt will do here. Work on his coverage a little bit more. Nice. 3 zone. He should be up into the 70s. Yep, 71 zone. Sample. Kind of just a blocking specialist at this stage, so we'll focus on that. Akeem Davis Gaither, our pass coverage specialist. He's not in there as a starter for our sub linebacker quite yet, but he's going to be pushing for that role there with Pratt. Chris Evans continue to work on his receiving ability. Puka stashed on the depth chart. Acceleration and a juke. Jackson Carman gets his first upgrade point. Okay. Thaddeus Moss, a fan favorite. Does make the roster in our world despite being a practice squatter in real life. Would be fun if he could stay healthy and be a part of this team. Deontay Smith gets a boost. Got to beef him up a little bit. Kind of a lighter player coming out. Not a lot of play strength, so let's focus on that. Mixon and Burrow, the superstars here. Let's go a little power for Mr. Mixon. Okay. Just keep them coming. Tyler Boyd, +1. Ooh, 3 release. That'll come in handy. We won't have this many again, but it's good to kind of get everyone a little bit better before we start playing games. Jamar, I think I'm actually going to go deep threat here. That release isn't his biggest strength. There you go, 2 release. He's going to be unlocking his hidden depth here shortly. Trey Hendrickson. I think I want to go power for him. Make that kind of a true strength of his. Jesse Bates. Going to be taking a look at a contract extension for him shortly. Might just make him the highest paid safety in football. T. Higgins. Man, this team is getting better. Ooh, a speed boost. There we go, T. And 3 release. Hell of an upgrade for T. And Chidobe Awuzie. Let's go slot. Up to an 80 for him. 4-man coverage. I think the rest of these guys we can automate. We'll do Von Bell. Nice. And then, as mentioned, Jesse Bates. 6 years, $91 million. That would put him just under the highest paid safety mark. I would say Jesse Bates has earned the right to be the highest paid safety in the National Football League. So let's go ahead and crank that up to the $18 million mark. 6 years, going to be a Bengal through his prime up until 30 years old. Not sure what's taken the real-life Cincinnati Bengals so long to get that job done, but he is a cornerstone player for us and going to be one of our first focus moves of the team to kind of anchor down the back end. And it's a bunch of veterans beyond that are going to have to earn contract extensions as the season goes on. But happy to take care of Jesse Bates amidst our expensive stadium rebuild process. So maybe take a peek at our scouting. See if our guys are still going to work on those who we sent after. Let's look at like tackles and guards. Yeah, so they're about halfway done scouting these guys. Once they get a little bit more completion, we'll mix it up. But we'll keep them where they're at for now. It's going to be a bit of a learning process with the scouting as we go. And I think I'm going to play this one against the Detroit Lions. We've been putting this team together long enough, let's go ahead and do our our first of 6 play the moments on the road in Detroit, a team that's hungry for a win. This is no guarantee. I am going to be using my custom Shanahan style playbook, by the way. That is going to be very consistent with how the Zach Taylor wide zone play action heavy system is supposed to operate, so that'll be fun.